Hello, my name is Owen, and welcome to a quick review of Cormac McCarthy's No Country for Old Men. What I want to do is give a brief overview of the books about the things that I liked and tell you the things that I didn't like. Jumping straight into it, this here's a modern-day Western. It takes place in West Texas in the 1980s. It doesn't say on the back of the book. But the setting is the Texas-Mexico border. Our main character is, one of the main characters is Llewellyn Moss, who stumbles upon a drug deal gone wrong, finds a boatload of cash, decides to take it with him, and chaos ensues. The plot ensues. He's hunted down by the cartel, and then also the mysteriously evil Shiger. And there's also Sheriff Bell, who is kind of like tracking along this investigation, trying to catch up to Moss. Can he save Moss in time? And also the sheriff's contemplations about the state of society in modern-day Texas. This is my first delve into Cormac McCarthy in general. Obviously a very popular author, well-beloved, sometimes controversial from what I gather his various works. This is my first dive in his work. No Country for Old Men is a movie that's very popular among people that I know in real life, but I haven't seen the movie and obviously this is the book that the movie is based on. So I really had no idea going into the story what it was about. I know Javier Bardem is in the film. He plays the dastardly Shiger, but other than that, really knew nothing about it. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I went into the story blind at least. In terms of like my impression of Cormac McCarthy, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll delve into that when we talk about the book. A lot of things I like about this book. I do love a good Western. Every once in a while, I get into a Western mood. I wouldn't say I read a lot of Westerns, but there was a period there about a year and a half ago where it felt like I was reading a lot of Westerns, where I read Lonesome Dove and True Grit, and there might have been another one, or that might have been it. But occasionally, I do like to dabble into Westerns. I like the modern-day Western, kind of like. This one's less so, like sometimes modern day Westerns kind of have like the age of the cowboy is past and stuff like that. It's not really like that. It's really just the South and kind of the feel of like dustiness and outlaws types, but in the more modern day. I like that vibe in general. So I like that a lot. I think the characters are all very interesting. I think Moss is very likable, very rugged protagonist as he's trying to run for his life. I like how the action, everything feels like it just occurs, so it makes it feel very realistic and very gritty in that sense. Like Moss stumbles upon this money and he decides to take it. And the motivations for all these characters are kind of vague and unclear, and yet you have a picture of these characters where you can kind of feel like you can infer like why Moss is taking this money, like why Sheriff Bell acts the way he does, especially because we kind of get a deeper look at the sheriff and he's kind of like contemplating through in specific chapters where he's just contemplating on his past, contemplating on the nature of evilness and what it's like to be a sheriff and the burden upon himself. And then there's obviously the villain of Shiger, who his motivations are very unclear. Well, it's very clear actually. His motivations are to catch Moss, but like where he comes from, who he is, he's kind of a ghost. He's kind of just this evil demon hunting our main character, and he just encounters these different people along the way and brutally kills them or lets them go, but you're just like chilled to the bone. This guy's like the embodiment of pure evil. He's like the Grim Reaper chasing our main character, but you don't really know, like, is he hired by the cartel? Who is he hired by? He seems an emotionalist, like he doesn't care who lives or dies, but he has a very personal justice where he doesn't like being wronged. He never gets wronged. If you wrong him, you're dead, essentially, instantly. But he's a very mysterious villain in that way. He's like one of the most captivating characters in this book, but I think Moss and Sheriff Bell hold their own as well as being very interesting characters. I will say towards the end of the book, throughout the whole thing, I would say it's fairly short. I enjoyed it for the most part. At the end of the book, after like the climactic moment, which I won't spoil what that moment is, there is a lot of. It turns more into like a contemplation for the last like 20 or 30 or so pages, and the sheriff is kind of just doing some more contemplating they does throughout the rest of the book, and it comes into like almost like pure subtext, if that makes sense, for the ending of the book, which I found that the way the book was structured, like it obviously had the climactic build-up. It's a lot of tension, a lot of will Moss get away? Will Shiger kill somebody that's important? What this final showdown between these two characters, or at least their journey, It doesn't happen exactly the way that you think it's going to happen. And then after that big climactic moment, where I feel like there is an emotional climactic moment, we kind of settle back down into this contemplative epilogue almost with the sheriff. And what I mean by subtext is like a lot happens. He talks to different characters. He sees different characters. He goes through different events, but you just get the sense of everything that's being said means something else. It's furthering the metaphor of the story, the themes of the story. And I think for the most part, like, this book is about like evilness in society, and is society turning to the worst, and like the narcotics in society, and what does it mean for a society that not only, like, there's these cartels that are selling the drugs, but a lot of characters in the book reflect on the fact that they're selling them to people who want to use them. And what does it mean for the state of the world and for America that there's so many people that want to use narcotics and that do use narcotics? But it's also like the twisting of humanity. Like, are people becoming more evil? And is Sheriff Bell, is he aging out of this world of being a sheriff? Like, he wants to do good, but can he do good in this world? This kind of the bait this character has throughout of it. And the end of the book is kind of like a closing on that, and like kind of the loss of innocence, I guess, of this old man, which is kind of interesting in itself. But it's very layered. And if it sounds like it's confusing and it sounds like I don't really understand what I'm talking about, you're kind of getting an idea of like what I'm talking about, how the end of this book ends. I felt like I got a grasp of what this story is and what McCarthy was trying to say with it. It's just one of the things where when you're reading it, you know it's a layered thing. And I feel like I wasn't picking up on all the layers. And if that ever happens to you in a book, or if this happens to you when you're reading it, it feels a little bit slow, and it feels like kind of the momentum is taken out a little bit when you know there's a metaphor and there's subtext and you're not picking up on all of it, or maybe it's just not clicking for you. I thought this book kind of ended strangely in that way. And I think and this is my biggest complaint about the book I'm going into now, I think a major reason of it not clicking for me, like I would say the thematic climax of the book, which is the ending of it, in the sheriff's reflections on all of it, his kind of conclusions that he comes to, is the writing style itself. And I don't know if this is a Cormac McCarthy stylistic thing he does for all of his books, but he has a very casual, I wouldn't say even casual, I don't even know the word to describe it. It's very punchy. It's very, like, the characters speak very realistically. They talk over each other. It feels like real humans talking in terms of the dialogue, but he doesn't use quotation marks ever. So it feels very punchy, and where it's just text, conversation, line. And there's moments where if you're reading it fast, you're like, wait, who said what? And you kind of got to go back and like count the order of the conversation, the back and forth between the two characters to figure out who said what. That happened a lot to me just throughout the story, which is partially on me for sure. I think it was distracting to me a little bit, though, that he didn't break it up like normal authors do. But I think also in the end, where it's all subtext, it's conversations, it's kind of jumping along timelines and reflecting upon events. He reflects upon an event and we jump back to that event and going forward without the normal structuring that I'm used to in reading. That coupled with it's all subtext as well, I just felt like I was lost in a lot of ways. And this kind of punchier back, and I keep saying punchy. I don't know if that's the right word to describe it, because it's hard. But like, for example, like you're looking at, like I just opened to a random page. It's just like, this is dialogue. This is two characters having a conversation. And it's the back and forth. And I like what the characters are saying. It feels very realistic, and you do get an idea of like who's speaking based on the way that they phrase their sentences. Like Sugar talks very differently from Moss, who talks differently from the sheriff. So that's not necessarily the issue that I'm talking about here. It's just the way that it's formatted makes it read in a very specific way that I'm not always used to, if that makes sense. I don't think that necessarily like it's a bad choice. It's like bad. It's just an artistic choice that I think for me distracted me more than it helped me enjoy the thematic resonance of the story, if that makes sense. Overall, entertaining, to be sure, but you can just tell, or I could just tell from reading this book, that McCarthy is a very thematic, metaphorical grand scheme, grand theme kind of guy. And I don't think in that regard, it really hit me with a good gut punch. And it's not really like an action-packed Western shootout type book either. There is a little bit of that, but it's not the focus of the book. So I just left it feeling that like I could see people really liking this book, but I just felt like it wasn't for me on all of those levels for the reasons that I mentioned. Good. I enjoyed it. Wasn't firing on all cylinders for me. Didn't have the punchiness of a Wild West shootout. Didn't have the thematic impact that I think that this book is written for the point to. And you know me, guys. I'm a big theme guy. Some say the biggest theme guy. Some say a normally themed guy who just likes talking about it. But regardless, I think I understand what the author was saying for the most part. I think I probably missed something a little bit, which probably hurts me. But overall, I enjoyed it. I don't know. I'm not walking away from this book thinking I really want to read The Road now, because I know that gets controversial reviews. But it was an interesting experience. And what I want to know in the comments below, if you read No Country for Old Men, what did you think? Is the movie better than the book? Because everybody I talk to in real life loves the movie. Granted, they didn't read the book. Such is the case these days. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like the video and you want to see more like in the future. And as always, thanks for sticking around.